John Lusky of Lusky Archery Adventures. Serious testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another head by Xecutioner. I tested one of theirs last fall and actually was really impressed with it. It surprised me. It pleasantly surprised me. I kind of thought, it's just going to be another over-the-top deploying, mechanical, what's the big deal? But man, it performed really well, and I'm curious if this one is going to do the same. Maybe it'll do even better. Who knows? But for my testing here, I'm going to be using my regimen for 2025. And for a detailed description of that, please watch the short video I did earlier this year called 2025 Broadhead Test Process. It'll help you understand why I do what I do and how I do it and so forth. And for all the shooting, or most of the shooting, I'm using my Elite Archery compound bows that I'm loving. And for the flight testing, I use a Killer Instinct crossbows that I'm also really loving. And for all the shooting, the arrows and bolts, I'm using Bishop Archery stuff because it's just top tier. Okay, let's zoom on in here and check out this model of the Xecutioner 2.5 inch and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at the Xecutioner. This is just a nice looking over-the-top or front deploying broadhead. And let me just talk about the materials first. Its ferrule is made out of a 7075 aluminum, which, as I always say, if you're going to use aluminum to save weight instead of steel, 7075 is a good choice because it's stronger than some steels. And then the blades are 440 stainless steel. So that's a good quality stainless steel. The blade's thickness is 0.039 inches, so nice thick blades. And the length of the overall head is 1.7 inches. Now, this head in the closed position has a cutting diameter here of 0.8 inches, and the sharpened edge is exposed. So you've got this half-inch tip. It's a cut-on-contact tip, really sharp. And then you've got 0.8 of an inch right here. So even in the closed position, you're cutting 1.3 inches worth of material. That's kind of nice, if it's an animal especially. And then on impact, though, as the blades penetrate, they force this O-ring back. And I like the way this slides back instead of just breaking off, so you can reuse this band. Usually it just slides way down the arrow. The blades open up and reach their maximum cutting diameter. Now, they're advertised as having a maximum diameter of 2.5 inches. But when I measured them, they're really just 2.2 inches, which is still pretty big. So 2.2 inch cutting diameter here. Then you got a half inch here. You're cutting 2.7 inches of medium, just like that. That's really nice. That's going to be great for turkey or for smaller animals. But what makes this head extra cool is there's this little set screw that makes the cutting diameter variable. You can move it up just a little bit there in that extra hole when the blades are closed. And then it's the same in the closed position, but when they open up, they have a smaller cutting diameter. Instead of the 2.2 inches, they're 1.75 inches. So that's great if you're going after a bigger animal, or you have a lighter setup and you want extra penetration. You just move it up to that hole. If you want a maximum cut on a smaller animal, or you have a really heavy setup, then you just keep it at the larger cutting diameter. So I love that variability that it has to it. Now, for resharpening, I would use the Stay Sharp guide. They have a new guide called The Answer, and they call it The Answer because it sharpens a lot of blades that they've not been able to create a guide to sharpen yet. And so now they figured out with the Answer guide, they can sharpen a lot of heads that previously they couldn't sharpen. And so that's the one I would use. It's coming out pretty soon here. I think it's in March of 2025. Not sure when you're watching this video, but that's when this will be coming out, the Answer from Stay Sharp. So check that out. Another cool thing about this broadhead is they're just like $10 each. They come in a 4-pack. And it just comes out to $10 each for a really high quality broadhead. So I look forward to putting this to the test and seeing how it performs. The Xecutioner got the bullseye. It took 198 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 10 on a 10-point scale, plus a small bonus for being under the threshold of 200. And here's the entrance hole, which is just the size of the cut in the closed position, and the blade's fully open by the time it hit the gel. It took an additional 42 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.16 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 54 layers, which is a 7.71 on a 10-point scale. But it will get a bit of a deduction because a lot of that penetration, about the last inch in both of the penetration tests, was just with that long, narrow tip. It's in perfect condition after the 3 shots through the MDF. This is what the head looked like as it poked through the steel plate, and it was kind of a pain to get out of the steel plate on both shots. However, here it is after the 2 shots, and you can see that it held together quite well. The blades got pretty curled up, but still held in place. And you can see the holes. The holes are small. They're just the holes of the head in the closed position. Here it is after all the durability testing. Did perfectly well through the MDF. Through the steel plate, as you saw, these blades got pretty curled, and that's because they're in the closed position when they impact the steel plate like that. And then into the center block, it did really well. It just lost a chunk, this end chunk, if you can see it there, of the ferrule. But man, for such a vented aluminum ferrule, I was impressed with this durability. So what'd you think? Man, it did really well, okay? I remember, like I said in the beginning, the first one really impressed me that I tested last fall. This one even impressed me more. It just didn't really have a flat side. I'm not a huge fan of over-the-top deploying mechanicals because I'd rather have that entrance hole be really big, because if you get just a small entrance hole and you don't get a pass-through or it doesn't poke out the back, you may not get much blood. So I prefer a rear deploying mechanical. But this one really does have some good going for it. Even it has a bigger cut than most as it enters into an animal. So if you like an over-the-top deploying broadhead, man, this is one you really ought to consider. Great job, Xecutioner. Hey, stay tuned, and you can see the score sheet and the overall cumulative score, as well as the corresponding Lusk grade. And also stay tuned for a list of all the discount codes that it can offer just to save you some money. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time.